Page 6, Tumbalalaika. It's a tumble something or other. Whatever. 3/4 time, no sharps or flats. So it's C major or A minor. Those are our possibilities because those are the two keys with no sharps or flats. If you look at the last measure there on the bottom of page 7, you're here. That's an A minor chord. I'm guessing this is an A minor. Also, they tell you it's in A minor at the beginning of page 6 at the top because you're reviewing the chords for A minor. The primary chords. The 1 chord, 4 chord, 5/7 chord. Kind of important. Well, let's talk about this piece. At the beginning, right hand, 2 and 4 on here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The next line, just lift up and go down. It's 2 and 4 again, so you're going to here to here. Just lift up and move. You do that now. And then the last line, you're here. This is this chord. You're in this position. That's an A minor chord, an extended chord in A minor because you've extended out to the octave. So that's. And then 3rd finger. And then you have that dotted rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and then 3rd finger. 1 and 2 and 3. You got to bring the thumb down and then 2nd finger. Moving around some here, huh? And you're doing all that again. Left hand is just accompanying with these broken chords. It's here and the 8. You get these. Look at the last line on page 6. The bottom. And you have that F chord. It's an A, C, and an F. And then the D minor chord, which is the 4 chord. You're wondering about the F chord. That is actually a 6 chord in this, but we're not dealing with 6 chords per se. We're just dealing with these 3 chords. So, okay, let's just know what the notes are. It's a C and an F. That's pretty much what the left hand's doing. Now look at the bottom page 7. The last line, you're here. I do a 5/4. You can slide off if you'd like. It's a little dangerous, kind of fun, but it's a little dangerous. So you can go here to here, and then a 2/1 here. Hang on to the A, it's tied, and you're just adding the C and E to it. Like so. There at the end. Put the hands together slowly. Is that slowly for you? It's slow to me. You have to do your own version of slow, but to me this is slow. And the last line there on page 6, you go. Idea. You have to take it your speed, but get to where you can play this correctly, both hands together with no hesitations or anything. If you've got spots in the piece where you're hesitating, go back and work on those spots to get rid of those hesitations. Don't keep going if you're going to hesitate. That's a huge trap people fall into. Don't do it. Fix the hesitations. Get rid of it immediately if you can. Now we go back and we add the articulation, the slurs in the right hand. The left hand is just doing your pretty much legato, pretty much. Just lift up in the right hand after. Comes in handy because you got to move each time. So, and do that with all these slurs in the right hand. Then you go back and add the dynamics. That goes to the right hand. Keep the left hand soft. We're starting out moderately loud. You'll have to decide what that is. Keep the left hand soft. And then the last line on page 6, you have a crescendo. You're going to go up to loud. There, go up to here. Come back down. Now you're soft again. The page 7 second line, you're starting soft, you're going to crescendo up to a loud. Take your time. You don't want to be loud till the third measure. So it's here. So these 6, you're going to gradually get, and then they even added an accent. I disagree with the accent. You don't need an accent. You've crescendoed up, that's it. The accent's going to make it actually a little louder than loud. So it's... You come back down to soft, you do it again. Come back down to soft, and then go back up again. So add the dynamics. I suggest really you get to know the piece well enough that you can play it, even with pedal and everything added in, and where you're not thinking about numbers and fingers and counting and none of that. You're just listening and enjoying the music. Then add the dynamics. So you feel these dynamics. What's soft? The speed is allegro moderato. It's moderately fast. Again, what's moderately fast to you? But feel the music, and then you can start feeling the dynamics. So the last line, I'm going to... thing. It's a nice effect of what they've done over on page 7 in the second and third lines with this crescendo. When you have a series of repeated notes like this, you got to do something with them. Otherwise it's just note, 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 note. Music wants to flow, and you can give the illusion of flowing. You make it appear like it's flowing with the dynamics. So by putting in this crescendo, it makes it feel like it's going someplace. It makes it feel, oh, something's happening. It's just not note, 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 note. So even if they don't give you the dynamics, when you get pieces where you're repeating notes like this, you're going to, hopefully once you get to know the music, you actually will feel a little crescendo many times, not always. Sometimes it's a decrescendo. But feel this music, feel these dynamics. That's where the magic happens. That's what we're ultimately after. Now, once you're comfortable with the fingers and dynamics and all that junk, then go on and add the pedal. They got legato pedal throughout. And it's going to be lagging pedal. You're going to push the notes down first and then the pedal. And when you change the pedal, you see at the end of the first line there in that measure, you're going to play the first notes in that measure, and then you lift the pedal up and put it right down. After you play that, so it's going to overlap a little bit. The pedal overlaps the hands, just a little bit, not much. However, look at the end of the first line. You see that up line? It's not one of those little pulse arrow thingies to tell you to up and down. That's up. That means lift the pedal. You lift the pedal with the right hand at the end of the phrase, and at the next line you'll push the pedal down after you play the notes. So there's a little silence in the right hand for the phrase. We want to hear the phrase. So, give you a clearer picture of what all that mess is about, let's take a look at the pedal. At the beginning, I push the notes down first and then the pedal. Like that. And at the end of the line there, the last measure, going into it, I'm going to push the notes down and then change the pedal. So the last two measures of the first line is this. I'm going to lift the pedal up with the right hand here, and I'm going to push the pedal down with the hands and the next measure after it. So to the last two measures of the first line going on to the second, it's this way. See, I want to hear that silence in the right hand. I'm going to do that everywhere there's a phrase break. I lift the pedal up with hands so we don't cover up the phrase break. We want some silence, but just it's like taking a breath. There's a little silence there in the melody. The left hand is legato pretty much throughout, so that's not going to help us. You've got to use the right hand as your guide here. And that's the pedal pretty much throughout the whole thing. At the end, last measure at the bottom of page 7, you're here. Then the pedal and the hands will all come up at the same time together. People say, well, why do I need the hands there? The pedal's going to hold it. I can just do this and relax, and then when I'm ready, I can lift the pedal up. And I say because it's bad technique, it's bad form. As long as you've got sound coming from the instrument, leave your hands on the keys. There's a couple minor things I'd like to point out about music notation and playing music and stuff, because it can be a little confusing. There's a lot of interpreting going on in music. The written music just gives you a general idea. This is the general guide you follow. Then you have to make it yours. And the pedal indications here are not totally accurate, and they usually never are. You see, the end of the first line, the pedal indication comes up. That means lift the pedal up. There's going to be some silence before you put the pedal down again. It's not overlapping pedal there, is what I'm saying. It's not up and down. It's up for a bit, and then you come down. Well, they also have these slurs and phrases in here. We'll look at the last line on page 6. The phrase is here. They have a slur there. Well, technically, there's a problem with that in that it breaks. The phrase is actually the whole line. Here. If you're going to break it, you do it here. And same thing in the first line on page 7. That's not a phrase right there before. So really, technically, we should be connecting the right hand here. All that together could be connected together. And if it is, then you're going to pedal it accordingly. And the pedaling they got marked is to do that. They're not showing at the last line on page 6. The first two measures. See, if they wanted a silence here, then they got to put the pedal line up there and then down to here. It wouldn't be one of those little arrow things. So they're showing overlapping pedal throughout, which contradicts the slurs. However, keep in mind the slurs aren't always, you're not always going to lift up between every slur. You have to consider what the phrase is like. It's a little disconcerting to me. These lines mean different things for different instruments, and sometimes I think maybe they're thinking about a violin or something, because that might work with a violin. So careful on these. You're not necessarily, you're going to lift up with the hand, go through the motion with the right hand, but the pedal might cover up the silence. Because just go ahead and follow the pedaling they've got. That's fine. However, look on page 7. At the end of the second line, they got the line coming up. No, that should be one of those little pulse things. That's not, you're not going to lift the pedal up there. It should be just an up and down. At the end of the second line on page 7. Make an overlapping pedal. Connect them with the pedal. This should be a pulse thing at the end of that thing. It's like, take a look at the next to the last line at the end. See the pedal mark there? It just kind of goes on, and then in the last line it comes from nowhere and you get the pulse. That's what I think it should be at the end of the second line. It should be the same thing for the pedal. That's my opinion. Other people would disagree. That's one of the nice things about music, is you can have a lot of different ways of doing things. I like to play this with you slowly. I'll give us 3 counts. Not going to do any dynamics, just the notes and the rhythms, just to make sure we got those correct. So the hands are here and here, and the foot's on the pedal. 1, ready, go. hold 2